Hello YouTube, my name is Nick, and today I have a whole bunch of more crap to show you today. I tried to film this once before, it was way too long, rambled way too much, didn't say the right things, didn't say what I wanted to say, but we're here again, got a whole bunch of CDs and several vinyl to show you today. Getting a little more back into black metal. It seems like for more than 6 months I didn't listen to much of it at all. Getting back into it pretty heavily here. Got a few goodies here, some bigger releases, some of them a little more or less appreciated. But this first one, I'm going to start with CDs. This first one I have talked about before, this band in the past. This is their new release on Profound Lore Records, and this is one of my favorite albums of the year so far. Just a jaw-dropping album. But this is Elegy by Dead to a Dying World. Really atmospheric and kind of brooding artwork here. Now, if you don't know Dead to a Dying World, it's like a really atmospheric and also touching, but also kind of threatening, kind of like crusty black metal mixed with like a ton of high tier tertiary instrumentation, lots of strings, lots of creativity, tons and tons of great emotional moments to be had with anything really from this band. The first song, Syzygy, yeah, we'll go with that. Sounds kind of like something you'd hear from like a preview for like a new movie or Game of Thrones season. Super atmospheric and big and just grandiose feeling. Great atmosphere. Just gives me the chills every time I listen to this album. Just absolutely amazing. It is a little shorter than their previous works by a little bit. But this is a great, amazing album by this band. I've listened to this more times than I can count. It just pretty much always hits the spot, honestly. Tons and tons of creativity and thinking outside of the box. There's screams, growls, yells, singing, male and female, lots of orchestration, stuff like that. If you're into really bombastic, big, and emotional metal-ish stuff, go check out Dead to a Dying World. This next one is one that immediately piqued my interest because one of the few bands I actually follow on social media is Thy Dark and Shade, and they've recommended a few albums here recently, and this is one of them. This is Funereal Presence with Achadius, something like that. This was released on the Agen Offensive. This is one of the most creative and inspired black metal albums I've heard in an extremely long time. I think this was the first album that really got me back into black metal here recently. I believe this is a one-man band, and while everything is not like superbly technical and tight and masterfully made, everything is like an 11 out of 10 creativity, and I really appreciate that in black metal. It's one of my favorite genres. Consistently lands on my #1 spot. Sorry. Just also a lot of tertiary instrumentation on this. I use that term a lot. I don't know if that's like a blanket term, but there's like some really cool bells and horns and stuff like that on this. The drumming is really what caught my eye. Like I said, it's not the most technical stuff you'll ever hear, but everything that is there is just, it's just right, and it hits the spot, and it's just thinks outside of the box 100% of the time. It's 4 tracks, and it's 40-ish minutes long. Great album. Recommend this extremely highly. One of my favorite black metal albums in a long time. Funeral Presence with Acadius. This next one is one I have not heard anyone else talk about. I was interested in this just based on the artwork, and this is kind of a style that I'm not usually a fan of, mostly because of where it's from. But this band is definitely slowly easing me into this style. But this is the Seven Law, or Law of Seven Deaths by Acrotheism. This is a Greek black metal band. I am not typically a giant fan of the Greek style. This is released on Osmos. But this is a humongous black metal album, I guess. It sounds like it's recorded in like an amphitheater. Like everything is really wide and reverbed, and there's a ton of space to where you can pick out little details of everything that's happening, because there's a lot going on. It's a fairly long album, and there's a whole lot of creativity on this. Again, this is kind of the trend of this video right now. But it's more straightforward, I would say, than the last album. The vocals almost kind of remind me of Tom G. Warrior. It's like more of a righteous yell more than like a scream most of the time. But I really, really appreciate this kind of stuff. I listened to this probably like 10 times in a row when I first got it. Just incredible stuff. Love the artwork. Really like the logo as well. Pretty long album. Definitely highly recommended though. Go check out Acrotheism with Law of Seven Deaths. This next one is released, well, these next two technically are released on Profound Lore. I got an email one morning that this is coming out, and I've never heard of this band, but I really, really like the artwork, so I checked it out, and it got my blood pumping, got me woken up, and made me want to just start destroying the house. So I had to immediately buy this. But this is Totaled with Lament. I really, really like the crusty, violent, hardcore style of black metal. It's pretty hard to pull off usually. So the production and typically the like literal tone of everything is very important to me. And this is a very massive, heavy, and just like tyrannical sounding album when it's more hardcore focused. But the tremolo picks and the black metal leads and stuff like that are just perfect. Cannot get enough of it. This is not a super long album, so it is perfectly reasonable to go listen to this 10 times in a row and not get tired of it. This is very oppressive sounding, huge production, really sweltering. I mean, give me a break with that artwork. Just gorgeous stuff. Would love to have a flag of that artwork, honestly. But go check out Totaled. Very apt name for the band. Just gnarly stuff. Nasty, gnarly, ugly, crusty crap. So this next one is a little controversial for me. I have spoken about how I do not like this band very much, but in the past I was also very vocal about how I don't like Vector, and Terminal Redux kind of inspired my love for that band, and now they're one of my favorite bands. So this is my first entry into this band, and I definitely understand why the people love this, and I'm going to go check out the rest of their discography here soon. But this is Hypnagogia by Evoken. Sorry, my voice is a little hoarse right now. Now, it's not that I hugely dislike Evoken, it's just one of those bands that I had heard, gave a shot, and didn't immediately fall in love with, and then just kind of forgot about. And I know I'm probably missing out on a whole lot of great Funeral Doom stuff. This is a pretty touching album, I would say. Lots of really clean and I don't want to say nice, but like inviting kind of music mixed in with like the extremely dense Funeral Doom that they're most likely known for. But there's a good amount of singing. There's a lot of strings on this album. There's it's obviously pretty long. It's hard to pull off a short Funeral Doom album. But I don't know where this holds up in their discography. Like I said, this is my debut to theirs, but I'll most certainly be checking out the rest of their stuff. I absolutely adore Funeral Doom, and this is pretty creative stuff for the genre. I'm sure I'm not the first one to say that. It's hard to get creative in Funeral Doom sometimes. But yeah, highly impressed with this album. I just got done listening to it several more times, and it's magical. I'm just gonna say that. So this next one is a little slab of hellfire and damnation. This is Blood of the Serpent with Sulfur Sovereign. Blood of the Serpents, sorry. Serpent, plural. Hopefully you can read that. But yeah, check out that artwork. Hopefully it's not too ugly looking. But this was released on Non-Servium Records. It's been a little while since I bought something from them, feels like. But the artwork immediately touched me with this. And this is some ultra-fast, hyper-violent, satanic black metal in the vein of like Dark Funeral or maybe some Belphegor material. Just 12 out of 10 speed the entire time, hyper blasting drums, absolutely insane tremolo picks, and the perfect clarity of the guitars is what really drew me to this album. Sorry there's so much glare, I'm not sure what's really going on. But if you love super fast, super violent, really high quality black metal, it's very hard to find this kind of music that doesn't get really redundant and repetitive quickly. And this has been one of my favorite additions to my collection here recently. So go check out Blood of the Serpents with Sulfur Sovereign. This next one was very difficult for me to acquire. This band has been harshly targeted by scalpers, seems like, and they've been doing their best to counteract this with multiple special editions, like having people's names engraved in them. They've called them out publicly, and it just keeps happening, but I finally got my hands on this. I've been trying to get this since it came out, but it just never happened. This is a handmade version. This is Door by Clouds. I don't even really remember what the original artwork for this looks like, but this is all hand-done, handmade. A little bit of it got rubbed off in the mail. That's cool. All it comes with is this vinyl-like black CD, which is really cool. I love that kind of thing. But if you don't know Clouds, they're like a atmospheric, doomy, doom something or other, I'll just say it. It's really depressing. It's meant to be a tear-jerking and soul-wrenching experience every time you listen to one of their albums. I have everything that they've ever put out on a physical format, which I'm very happy to say. I don't know where this ranks with all the albums. I think my favorite album is still Depart. But this is still an absolutely amazing album. The mood changes that you get from song to song is very rare to me. Like the tonal differences between like the changing of the vocalists that they do, it makes for a really special kind of experience that you're not going to find everywhere else. This is really a labor of love kind of band, and definitely go check out their stuff. Daniel Niego's in this, one of my favorite vocalists, mostly known for his Funeral Doom works. So yeah, go check out Door by Clouds. This next one is going to be an extraordinarily hard album for me to describe. If you were to ask me what is the impossible band to describe, it is this band. This is Sulphur English by Enter Arma. If you go check out their Metal Archives page, it literally has like 5 main tags. It's like black metal, doom metal, sludge metal, stoner, drone, something or other. It is an absolutely mind-boggling band how they're able to incorporate so many genre changes. The CD's in my car. So many genre changes in such a fast sequential order, and it's so seamless that it doesn't even seem like anything is changing, but the speed and also the technique itself changes so quickly and so effortlessly. And this band has a pretty hysterical Twitter account. It's extremely self-deprecating. They're like, hey, we're the worst band in the world, don't come see us, but hey, here's our live tour stuff. But yeah, I would honestly say that this is my favorite album of theirs so far. I have everything except their debut on physical format. There's a lot of aspects on this album that we have not seen from the band before, which is pretty mind-boggling because they've essentially done everything. There's really creepy and also kind of almost funeral doomy moments on this, and it feels so good. Like, this band does everything so amazing that them touching anything and just makes it feel better. Like, the title track, Sulphur English, is one of the spookiest songs I've heard in a really long time. Stillness almost kind of reminds you of like a Leonard Skinner song. I'm not the first person to say that, but it's an apt measurement. The Avitus Meridian, Observances of the Path, just absolutely magical art of an album. Really doomy, warm, grasping kind of music that is very challenging to understand, but at the same time is thoroughly enjoyable. It's I'm pretty big about this band. I try to support these guys a lot. I love their work. They're doing some great stuff. So yeah, go check out Enter Arma. They're on Relapse. Go look at it right now. So now, I got one more CD to show you, and we're going to get on to the vinyl. I'm not going to talk too much about this. Also, this CD of this is in my car. But this is Rendered Helpless with Suffer Seraphim. I really, really like the artwork, obviously. I got the flag of this as well. This is I don't know if this is technically his main project, but the vocalist of Organectomy. This is another one of his projects. Super duper brutal, kind of slammy stuff, typically, But this is a much different direction, almost more going towards like a atmospheric brutal death metal album, like very slightly in the vein of almost Disentomb. Much less slam focused, more focused on making a scene, I guess. I'm trying to say this without like making it sound bad, but I think the album that comes after this will be much better, because I feel like this is a good step in the right direction for a new sound, but I don't think it's quite there yet. Their last album is absolutely phenomenal, one of the best slam albums in quite some time, but this is another great album. Go check out Rendered Helpless. They are on Inherited Suffering. So yeah, everything will be in the description as always. So these, I have 4 vinyl to show you. And we're going to be starting with one of my favorite tech death albums I've probably ever heard. This has been an unhealthy obsession for me, and I'm not ashamed to say it. This is The End of an Era, Rebirth by Inferi. Just soak in that artwork in all of its glory. This is a re-recording of the, I believe it's their second full-length album from Inferi. I have not listened a ton to the original version of this. I'm a poser, and I got into this band when the Path to Apotheosis came out. But let me show you the vinyl color, because it is scrumptious, as is everything that comes on, or that comes out from the Artisan era. Just absolutely artistic and magical vinyl colors, ethereal, all of the magical adjectives you can think of. But this is one of the best examples of modern tech death that I have found so far. I have listened to this maybe literally over 100 times since I've got the CD and the vinyl, and I wish that was an exaggeration, because it's almost kind of embarrassing. Every single song on this is so incredibly well written and catchy, and there's an extent to being well written, and there's an extent to having like musical knowledge of when to take a step back and let other paths start to branch. And this album is one of the very best I've ever heard that does that, where everything gets its time in the limelight, and the vocals are not overbearing, the guitars are not too noodly, the drums don't show off too much. Everything is exactly where it should be, when it should be, and the tone, when it is there, is perfect. This is one of my favorite snare tones that I've heard in a really long time. It's like almost entirely muted. Like muted as in there's not a whole lot of like reverb to it. Really snappy and punchy. The money riffs on this album are unparalleled. One of my absolute favorite and go-to albums that I've heard this year. Just an embarrassment of riches, of money riffs and good times to be had. Bravo to Inferi for redoing this album. I have heard that this is actually very comparable to the original, if not better, by like the community. So I guess why go back? I'll stick around, but if this version is just strictly better, then I'll stick with this one. But go check out The End of an Era, Rebirth. I'm serious. If this is the one thing you check out from this video, it's the right thing. Now this next one is one that I was very surprised to get. I found this while looking at the funereal presents on Ajna Offensive. I was not really aware that these were still available, if they were still available, because I thought I had missed them when it first came out. And I am so extraordinarily happy to finally have this. This is Lurker of Chalice Die Hard Edition, released by Nuclear War Now. This is one of my favorite albums of all time. The Die Hard also came with this extremely nice pin. If you don't know Lurker of Chalice, it is the secondary project of Rest from Leviathan, the very competent and well-known black metal artist from the US. I have talked about this CD ad nauseum before in another video, so I'm not going to say a ton about this, but this is one of the happiest I've ever been to acquire a vinyl. I didn't think I'd ever have one of these, and not only that, to get the Die Hard just feels so much better. I almost put it back without showing you the color. What's wrong with me? But it comes on this delicious gold. Amazing. Amazing stuff. So yeah, not much to say. Extremely evil, extremely well regarded, highly reviewed. Hard to say if we'll ever see anything from this name again. But if it's one and done, you might as well make a 10 out of 10 and then quit. So yeah, if you don't know Lurker of Chalice, go check it out. It's super long, super evil and dense and overbearing and just dumb. It's a dumb album. So this next one is one that I had missed several times, and is also another one I've talked about before, so I'm not going to talk about a ton. But this is Chernobog with self-titled. I had missed all of the previous full artwork here. I had missed all of the previous renditions of the vinyl, and I'm most certainly happy with the version that I finally got. This is the most recent one that they have pressed. It comes on a solar vomit color, and good lord guys, tell me that is not atrocious and also fitting, and tell me that's not the greatest center label of all time. Just massive mountain eyeball. If you don't know Chernobog, extremely oppressive and tyrannical, blackened death doom of some sort. Extremely lengthy, extremely creative. I have been over this before. This was one of my top albums of last year. Just magic on wax. Go check out Chernobog. Just... And this last one is one I am tickled to death to finally have. I don't believe this ever actually got a vinyl release when it was originally released on Relapse, but almost got ahead of myself. But this is Spawn of Possession with Incurso, one of the most important tech death albums to ever come out in my opinion. Really put the genre in its place. Amazing color and quality again from the Artisan era. They can do no wrong, and their roster is just getting absolutely ridiculous. Totally cornering the market on amazing tech death. Just, I don't know how they're getting all the signings that they are, but this album needs no introduction. One of the most legendary tech death albums to ever be released. Really iconic artwork. Spawn of Possession is one of the first tech death bands I ever listened to, and this is another one of those albums that I'm just so happy and proud to finally have, and will never be going anywhere in my collection. Fantastic presentation, sound, quality, just 10 out of 10 all around. done on this album and the label that pressed it. And I think I'm finally done schmoozing over these vinyl. So hopefully you found something you enjoyed in this video. Hopefully you go check out something, go buy something. No matter what it is, it'll be in the description. And I'll see you next time. Mwah.